Welcome, welcome, your backup plan tribe to this week's show. I'm so very, very excited to bring you on today for a very special guest that we have coming to us that I'm very blessed to have on our show today for an escaping from the Ukraine during the Russian invasion. It sounds like something back in 1930, but believe it or not, it's actually right now. And I'm very, very sad to say, actually. But we are here to talk about it. We're going to have this special guest that we have coming to us that has escaped and will give us her thoughts about all of that. So welcome, welcome to our show today. My name is Tina Ginn. I am an emergency preparedness coach, a best-selling author of In the Blink of an Eye. It happens that fast. Things happen in the blink of an eye, guys. It actually does. I'm a financial expert and an app developer of Your Backup Plan app, and I'm located right here in beautiful Vancouver, BC. So you have reached Talking Taboo with Tina, brought to you by Your Backup Plan app, and we focus on real, raw conversations with our listeners about their journey from a life-changing event. Now, this has been a very big life-changing event for millions of people around the world, actually, and not just in the Ukraine. So I'm very excited to have our guest on and bring this to you live on our show today. Your backup plan, what the heck is it? It puts your life in one place in case of any unpredictable circumstance, while taking that painful aftermath out of that tragedy, that problem. We can all count on one thing, that we are all going to have something happen in our lives. We're going to have a death. We're going to be sick. We're going to be disabled. We're going to have some sort of disaster or tragedy. And I feel that in the last 2 or 3 weeks, we've definitely covered those angles with what's happened in the world today. Be prepared for the unexpected. I'm not sure how you could be better prepared for war, but expect the unexpected, because you never know when it's going to happen to you. You never know when things can happen in the blink of an eye. And as Mike Tyson, the big fighter, says, everyone has a plan until you get punched in the mouth. Isn't that the truth? We have a new program coming out with Your Backup Plan app that is called the Emerging Blueprint. It will be available very shortly. It has a library of videos and worksheets, templates that you can print off, that you can use and have those family conversations that we talk about all the time. What does your mom and dad want? What does your brother or sister want? What do they want if they become have a disease or disability or a sickness as dementia or Alzheimer's? What happens then? What if? What happens? What do you want that picture to look like? And these worksheets are easy to use. You just go down them, tick the boxes, write in the blanks, and you are done. So I always say, let's jump on a workshop we have on Facebook. You can have your own worksheets and have those family conversations that are sometimes very difficult to talk about. But in something like this, it brings a whole new light, and so did the pandemic. The pandemic also brought a whole new light to what is happening in the world, about how we really aren't prepared and how we could be better prepared. Because, back in Little House on the Prairie, they had barns and farms and that type of thing, and old houses, and they would wrap up their documents in brown paper and they'd shove them in the rafters or the basement, and they'd let everybody know that's where those special documents were. But no one does that anymore. No one knows where anything is. They have digital assets over here and out in the cyber world, and they have paper documents over here that are there and there and there and there and not in one place. So That's what I'm talking about. Getting prepared, getting your stuff together in case of theft or damage or a wildfire or hurricane or of anything. So let's get this party started. We're going to talk about some special stuff in the show today that we can't ever think that we could escape from. It's like you are going into a movie. I'd like to welcome all of our subscribers, and if you haven't clicked on that bell with my hand, please like, share, and subscribe down here at the bottom. Press on that bell if you already haven't, and click on that subscribe button. I'd love to have you on our show all the time so that you don't miss any. I'd like to welcome our United States and Canadian and UK listeners. I'm so happy to have all of you here. And of course, our German listeners are coming up very, very quickly in the ranks of our show. Meine deutsche Freunde sind unserem Podcast willkommen. Wenn Sie Kommentare haben, können Sie gern Frage stellen. Also danke für deine Freundschaft und danke fürs Hören, meine deutsche Freunde. So thank you for listening. Thank you for having us on top of your shows today, and thank you for coming and choosing us to listen to. So let's get the party started. We're going to bring on Anastasia here right now. There she is. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you, Tina. Thank you for inviting me, because it's very important. All the support is very important now, so thank you.
Yes, I'm supporting you with colors. I'm supporting you with putting this out there so that people can better understand what it's really, really like, Anastasia. I'm going to try and say your name while I do your introduction. I'm going to do my best here. Anastasia Vladychynska.
That was actually very good. Yeah.
Good. Awesome. Now, you are from the Ukraine. What area are you from?
So I'm from Kiev. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And she's escaped just in the last few weeks to Italy. And she's going to tell us all about her escape as well as helping others escape. And Anastasia is a certified customer experience consultant. She is a founder of a consulting company and a professor at the Kiev Business School. She helps top-tier brands keep their customers through reinventing their employee and customer experience so that they can disrupt their industries. Yes, I talk about that a lot with medical and dental plans that we offer in Canada to be able to give a better employee experience to them, offering them some extra perks, so to speak. And that's all part of it as well. So welcome to our show. I'm so very grateful to have you on our show today.
Sure, my pleasure.
So where did all of this happen? When did it start for you? We know it was the big D-Day was February 24th of this year, but what happened?
Yeah. I actually had several thoughts when you were talking about being prepared and asking yourself, what if, right? I used to be a person who only asked what if in a good connotation. What if this happens in my life and this? Being very positive, very inspirational to other people. And to me, I would always, if I had a bad thought that something bad could have happened, I would always, try to push it away from me. Always, trying to think of the best scenarios. So we, of course, in Ukraine, we all knew that Russian troops were already gathered by the borders, right? But no one would have thought that they would be actually coming to Ukraine and that this invasion would be so massive.
Yeah.
So I was having my best life.
What do you think that they were thinking? What do you think that people were thinking? Do you think
you mean Ukrainians?
They're just going to put up a force that, it's just going to prove a point kind of thing? Or
several scenarios, because I think you remember that a year ago, he would also have the troops gathered, but it was just to negotiate something that he wanted, right? So that's what we thought. And second, we thought that if invasion would have been, then it would only have been in the eastern part of Ukraine, which unfortunately we were used to having a war over there. So that's what everybody was thinking. Of course, yeah, go ahead.
Why is it there? Why do they?
Well, because they invaded earlier. 8 years ago, Russians invaded Crimea. They took it all over, and eastern part of Ukraine. So we still had some kind of resistance in that area for them not to proceed further into the country.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was having my best life. I was working. I had super extra clients, and from the list, companies like Kenzo, Hugo Boss, and BMW, and McDonald's, you name it. And I was interviewed by TV stations in Sydney, in the States. Traveling, giving speeches in London, New York City, and planning for the best. I was when everything started, I was on a business trip in the city is called Lutsk, which is in between Kiev and western part of Ukraine, and a bit further up, closer to Belarus. So my colleague and I, we were in the hotel, and in the morning we woke up. I heard the roaring sounds of airplanes, and with all that information, the backup information that you have, you could have immediately thought that it was the war starting, right? But it's funny how your mind works. Like, I thought it was fireworks, okay? Because roaring sounds and then boom and boom. I thought it was fireworks. And then my dad called, and he said, Anastasia, the war has started. You have to get in a car and drive closer to the Polish border. You know what I did? I woke up, put on my makeup, my clothes, and I told my dad, well, but I have responsibilities. I need to go and do a workshop.
Yeah, you have life.
I have life, So I called the client, and they said, Anastasia, no, everybody's fleeing. There is no workshop. So even at that moment, your mind tells you this isn't possible in the 21st century. This just isn't possible. There must have been a mistake.
Yeah.
And, so I got all my materials back into the car or the luggage, and we drove off. Back then, it was just starting. So when you were driving, you would see those, what's the word for them? Block bus? Is that the same? So the block is like a block with
a
military
people. A blockade? Because they go across the road?
Yeah, a blockade. So you would have military people, soldiers checking on your documents. Okay. Yeah. So they would have several blockades of Ukrainian military, stopping you and checking the documents right away. They had it. And then the strangest thing, though, was that you immediately ran out of gas. So all the gas stations did not have gas. And the lines, the ones that had gas, the lines were like kilometers and kilometers long. So we were like, okay, how much gas do we have? and we drove all the way shaking, like your body acts weird, like you're shaking all the time. You seem calm from the outside, but inside, you're shaking, you're cold. And still, we were thinking that we would just be leaving to the Polish border for maybe 2 days, and then everything would have settled down.
Yeah, kind of like how we thought about the pandemic too.
Exactly. Remember, we thought it would be like for several weeks.
I thought it'd be a few weeks and then we'd be back to normal again.
True.
That was a big surprise.
True. Yes, and then we stayed for several days in Lviv, which is western part of Ukraine, where my parents are, and you're trying to live a normal life. Like you get yourself a breakfast, but you can't eat because the stress is so bad that you can't eat. You feel like vomiting all the time because of the stress. So,
because you don't know
and
what to
go
do.
ahead. Yeah, because it's not like, you're frozen. Your mind is frozen. You only are capable of doing basic stuff like cleaning your teeth.
Yeah.
But sometimes you even forget to do that. You're only sitting in the news, checking the news. And I would forget if I washed my face today or I didn't. I had no idea. And then you sleep in clothes because in the middle of the night, the sirens would go off. Yes. So you have to run and hide. Now my mom had a broken leg. So it was very hard to run with her somewhere into the basement. Yeah. So we would hide in the bathroom. That's number 2 place where you hide when there's the alarm. So
Same
you
as
go
an earthquake, I think.
Yeah.
Earthquake and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So you would sit there in the bathroom, 4, 5, 6, 7 people, and the number of people would always change because again, my parents are in Western part. Then many people my friends would come, stay with us, and then leave Ukraine through the Polish border. So you would have different people sitting in the bathroom and waiting. You grab your bag with documents. You were talking about the documents. Make sure you have them in one place.
Yeah.
You grab your bag with documents. You sit in the bathroom. It's cold there. You don't know for how long you're going to sit. You just, you fell asleep, but you have to go up. And several times a day, several times a night. Sometimes you would stay there for 15 minutes, then sometimes for 5 hours. And so yes, I actually did not want to leave. My dad made me. He was telling me I was completely inefficient. And I was like, how could you be efficient if you're just running from one place to another? And
so you never made it home even after
your
workshop?
No.
So you still haven't been home since?
No. I had a feeling. I had a bad feeling. So I told my colleague to grab all the documents, all the jewelry, and I left not with my usual carry-on, but with a bigger suitcase. So that's everything. I was able to bring, and a computer.
Yeah, because that would make it hard to know what's left when you go home.
Yeah,
your building is still intact so far?
So far, it is still there, but but like my therapist's house is completely down, completely. So he doesn't even have a place to go back to. And when you think about that, just
where do you go?
Yeah.
What about getting money out? It was still all right to get money out?
Some people, of course, when such things happen, people invade the ATMs because they need cash. So now I believe there is no cash in the ATMs, and people are mostly using cards. Yeah, if you had savings, you would still bring them with you on your cards if you had them. Now, what's interesting, I realized that I'm helping those 130 women that I know personally. I'd say 30% of them have savings and 70 do not.
Right.
Which for me is unbelievable because I have to tell you, I have never owned a credit card. I have never taken a loan. And I've always believed that this is something bad to do. Okay. Like I always only using my own means. It was my principle. And now I see that it's working. It's good, because when you save, at least you have something to keep you going for at least some time.
Yes. But you just don't know for how long or where. Like that's the whole issue.
You don't. You just flee, and you just flee the country, and that's another thing that hits you. Your whole your whole goal is to find a safe place. So you have to leave the country, right? And that's not easy, because some of my girlfriends were standing in line at the Polish border for 5 days in their cars, like 5 days with the kids. So you sleep in a car, you eat in a car, 5 days, okay?
Ugh.
And then you finally cross the border. You're so happy. But then once you cross it, and I saw so many women who were weeping. I myself wept when I crossed the border. Because you
Yeah,
feel
'cause you
like
don't want to leave.
you don't want to leave. That's one thing. And second, you feel like you're standing, like you feel so little, and you're standing, in the, you're standing facing a huge ocean. You have no idea where to go. You have no idea, where you're going to get the money from. Where will you be working? Or will you be working? Will you have to completely, dump your career and start everything from scratch? Which you, of course, don't want to, because these well-educated women with several degrees, I don't want them cleaning the houses, of course. That's why, I'm so protective about them and trying to find, jobs
Somewhere
where they
to
would
live and
still.
jobs.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, when you think that not only has your place been taken away, but in a real world, you could have a wildfire and have your house demolished, but you still have your job, and you still have the job to go to, and you still have money in the bank, and but this is like just flatten everything, take everything from everybody. Food, water, gas, cars, like jobs, take everything. You've got nothing.
True.
I just can't even comprehend.
Yeah. And it's funny. I was sharing with my friend. I was telling her, you know what? You think that you have something. You have a house, you have furniture in it, you have beautiful things. Like my friend, she collects this art, so she has this beautiful art, right? And then in 1 minute, in one day, you just become a thin folder with documents. That's your whole life. That's everything you own.
In a backpack, whatever you've
Yes.
shoved some underwear and jacket in.
And some people didn't even have time for that. One of my friends, she's just was a little backpack, because her friend told her, he called her and he said, could you please come to the railway station? He didn't explain her why, because if she had known, she wouldn't have come. So he just told her, could you please come to the railway station? So she came with a little backpack, like she would normally, the one she would
Go for the
normally
day.
use when in town. Exactly. And he told her, he bought her the ticket for the train, which was, boarding the train was
I was
something
going to
of a
ask you about that.
catastrophe. Yeah, she told me the story of people. Nobody cared if you had a ticket or you didn't. People were just coming in packs. People were leaving their suitcases with stuff on
Just
the
to get out.
platform, on the platform, because there was no space for the suitcase on the train. Okay.
So it's either you or the suitcase, basically.
Exactly. Now, some people asked to take their kids, so they would give their babies to strangers just to get them out of the city, which is unthinkable. These people are not like, I don't know, people from the poorest country ever. No, these people drive Tesla cars on streets of Kiev, BMWs, Audi cars.
Mercedes.
It's exactly. These people had wonderful jobs. They had, blooming businesses, because I used to teach at the business school. So, my whole network is business people. I know those people. Yes, extremely hardworking, but they have earned all of that. And why? I mean, what I still can't, and I will never be able to process it. Why does one person in the world decide that he has the power to deprive
that.
people of all of that?
And death.
True, and death. Because you probably have heard of the city of Irpin. It's a Little, it's not even, it's a little town close to Kiev. Beautiful little town. Pines and quiet, beautiful. We would, my husband and I would go and spend time with our friends. They're picnicking. It's just a beautiful, beautiful little town. Now, up to today, no, probably not today, up to a week ago, people were sitting in the basement with no food, no gas, no heating for 14 days. Okay. How is that even? Like 21st century, they didn't have food. 21st century. And the stories they write after they were able to leave that little town, you know, you would not believe, because they were running, because there were negotiations, and they did negotiate on green corridors, right? So people, you know, went out. Finally, they were running, and Russians started shooting on people at the same time, okay, to then blame Ukrainians for it, and of course to show on Russian TV who was guilty of that, right?
Yeah.
So they are writing stories that while they were running, there were corpses of people in this beautiful vacation town. I don't have words. I bet I don't even have emotions for this. I don't know how it is even possible. I can't find some of my clients, I don't know where they are until today. Like they don't respond to my calls, to anything.
So it's even hard to continue that part of your job.
Oh, that I can't do at all. It's all stopped. It's only, you know, we're only relying on international contracts.
Yeah.
Because all the Ukrainian job has stopped.
Yeah. You didn't mention your husband. Where is he then?
So I'm the lucky one, because he is not a resident of Ukraine. So he was able to leave with me, even though he didn't want to. He wanted to stay fight. But legally, if you're Ukrainian, you cannot leave. Ukrainian man aged 18 through 60. So like my dad, he could have, yes. Yeah. But that's the thing, nobody wants. Men don't want to leave. But I told him, you know what? I am not able to process this by myself.
Yeah. And I tell people on our show a lot about when something does happen, your brain is like it disappears. It's like there's no logic left in your brain. And you run off of, I don't know what it is. It's like shock or like you can't think, like you said, you can't remember to brush your teeth or wash your face or anything. And I tell people this all the time. And that's why it's so important. And I was thinking yesterday when I heard about the camps that they have now sent thousands of people to in Russia. And we don't know what's going on in those camps. But they took all their documents and their phones. But, you know, if you completed your backup plan, I have to say this because it's just part of what I am, and that's why I developed it, is if you completed your backup plan, it doesn't matter if you don't have your phone, and it doesn't matter if you don't have your documents, because they're still there on your name when you go log in somewhere else at another time. So that is some recourse of knowing that you still have your stuff, you know, because it must be feel terrible to have everything taken from you. That's your life. You know, for somebody to say you're a prisoner of war and you take all of everything you have, your phone and your documents, that means like you're nothing anymore. Who are you? You're a number. That's it. So I just had to interrupt and just say that, my 2 bits, because it just, you know, I can't imagine a teenager, someone taking their phone away from them, how angry they would be, let alone that's our only course of where people know where other people are during this time. If you don't have to be able to call them, then what's next? So you don't know how they are or how they're doing. Have you heard anything about them? What's happening there?
Not from everybody. Some people, the people who get out of those basements, yes, they finally they grab somebody else's phone if their phone is down. But but some of the clients, we still don't know anything about
Where
them.
they are.
Some are close to Kiev, some are in Kharkiv, which is the one of the most ruined cities right now.
And Mariupol.
I don't have anyone in Mariupol. Yeah, but Mariupol is just a big wound right now. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And do they want that city because it's near the water? Is that why?
I don't even want to go into any effort of trying to analyze their logic, just because there is none. Okay. You can't get a logic of a sick person. As I say, if unfortunately, if I have some friends with mental issues, they don't go ruin other countries. They go to the therapist, right? So this, you can't even. Of course, there are politicians and war strategists who are trying to analyze and understand. But even then, when I read those articles, I'm like, okay, that's the guess. But in reality, nobody knows what's going on in the sick man's mind.
True. Well, you can't understand a sick man's mind. I'd say something else. You can't understand a regular man's mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
What about when you escaped? It wasn't too difficult for you to get out and get away quickly?
See, that in waves. That happens in waves. So when it just started, the wave was just huge, of course. And one of my friends was 5 days. Then another friend had to walk, 30 miles was her little baby just to cross the border. So it came in waves. Then when I was leaving, and I was leaving through Hungarian border, which is not that popular. Usually people would go to Poland. And it only took 5 hours by car. Okay.
And why did you choose Hungary?
Well, because geographically it's easier to go to Italy through Hungary.
Oh.
Yes. And some people would choose those borders because they're easier to pass. And then from Hungary, you go to Poland if you want to. It just that it's faster to pass that border. Yeah. And
did you feel safe when you got on the other side?
You don't feel safe. You probably feel, no, you don't, not immediately. Even now, it's been 2 weeks when I even here in Italy, when I sleep and when I hear a roaring sound of an airplane, I'm like, all frozen. So not immediately. Some time had to go by until I finally could breathe and realize, okay, at least I'm in a safe place. And I can start doing something, start helping my friends and not just concentrate on myself and trying to flee.
Yeah. It makes you feel better that way. Is it harder? Are you still trying to help people now at this, even today?
Oh yeah. I don't help with, I can help when people want to cross the border. So I have friends in Ukraine who help them, who drive them by their cars to the borders. But mostly I help when they are already here and when they need a place to stay, they need legal information, they need jobs, and it all starts at least with remote jobs. So that, or even simple support. We have 2 calls throughout the week. One is with the therapist, and she is top-rated New York therapist, but she has decided to donate her time to help us.
Oh.
So we have those sessions. Yes.
That's beautiful.
And 1 call on Saturday when we just, gather together, who can, of course, and we try to talk, we try to share some information, because see, everybody's on a different stage. There are some people who have left earlier, so they already know how to get your kid to the kindergarten, how to go and have this legal registration, why the refugee status is different from the temporarily displaced status. So they kind of, now they help each other. Before, it was just me trying to connect everybody. It was a drag. Seriously, it was.
Yeah.
I mean, I love doing that because at least it kept me busy and I wasn't concentrated on my dark thoughts.
Yeah.
But it was hard. It was hard, and it all started with just 10 girlfriends, and now it's 130 by today.
That's awesome.
So it's a lot.
Yeah. And so we have the description for you for your consulting business down below as well. We also have, I'll add your description of where people can make donations, whether it's a space that they might have available or a job available or something like that. So it's not necessarily just money, but anything that you have to share for people.
True.
Right?
Yeah. And people come up with creative ideas. Seriously, one of my friends, she has decided, she did a webinar for her audience, and then she said, all the donations will come. I didn't know even this. She just called me. She said, Anastasia, I raised some money for you guys, and I have to say that these things are so valuable right now. And because now you value the real help. Unfortunately, you can't value shallow words like, I hope you're safe, I hope you're good. No, we're not good.
No.
Don't even say that, because I have even stopped answering those messages. I have to tell you. Something like, let me know if you need help. Well, yeah. What do you need help with? Everything. Like, imagine yourself with one suitcase, right?
Yeah.
But then again, you have to know Ukrainian people. Ukrainian people are not used to asking for help. We are hard workers, so we have the notion of earning everything. It's not easy for us to ask for help. So, yeah, but infinite gratitude to people all over who are opening their homes for Ukrainians, who are sharing their meals, who are bringing baby food, baby clothes. Really,
Strollers.
I have exactly. I really have no idea. Yes, transporting. You're right.
How's your brother?
My brother is in Poland, and he's lived there for years. So he's helping with he actually, and his wife. His wife is very empathetic, so she always tells me, give me those phone numbers. I'm going to talk to your girlfriends. If there's something I can help, I will help. So, yeah, everybody is trying to help to the extent they can.
Is he scared, though?
Well, everybody is scared. In Europe, you could tell that people are scared.
Yeah.
It's not like they're thinking this is a Ukrainian war anymore. No. Everybody's actually prepared that this crazy guy could start invading further. So people are scared. That's why they totally understand that if they don't help to stop it there, it will spread like cancer. It's so dark, so dark, So, yeah.
What I don't understand is the implication of them coming into a certain area, which I understand, but it's the civilian damage that they're doing. The raping and the looting and it's like everything that's mean comes out in people.
Yeah.
Which I don't understand, but
they're doing it on purpose, because once they start shooting civilians, we, the civilians, are supposed to get super extra scared and to tell our government to give up. That's their strategy. But they totally don't know Ukrainians, because that only makes us more, braver and more furious.
Stronger. Yeah. Yeah.
Even though, we weep, we cry for our people. It's just, the pain is immense. But no, there is no way coming to somebody else's land and asking, killing them and then telling them to give up. Like, what? Like, what?
Yeah, we've gone this far. What's the difference now? I mean,
True.
you might as well give it all you've got. Yeah, it's hard to keep unity amongst hatred type of things, that's for sure. But I love all the little Ukrainian stories that come out of it. The little old lady that stood up to her house when the Russian army came in, and she told them all to leave, and they did. Or the tractor pulling the tank down the road.
Oh yeah, because it's expensive. If you take it to the metal station, it's expensive. You'll get lots of money for it. So yeah. So why not use the occasion?
But I was thinking, like, people are talking about, well, how do they start rebuilding? I mean, but how do you? Like, just the rebuilding part, what about the cleanup alone?
Yeah.
What a massive cleanup.
Yeah, I was thinking about the same. But again, Ukrainians are like bees, if they tell us come back and clean up, we will. In a week, I'm telling you. We're like that. Like, give us a goal and we're going to do that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, rebuilding, yes. I'm sure Russia will repay everything. Seriously, there is already a process that has started in Hague. Is that the right pronunciation?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'm sure there will be repatriations, and we will get everything, from them, because it's unthinkable. It
is. And I know Greece has offered to rebuild. Was it the church? Or no, the hospital?
I think it was Italians who said they would rebuild the drama theater.
The theater,
yes, in Mariupol, where the people were hiding and they bombed it. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think it was Greece that said they'd rebuild the hospital, I think. I can't recall, but
could be.
Yeah, so I guess all in all it would help, but I just don't know how you stay strong, because it's not just a few days of stress, it's weeks now, and you're worried about your own family, friends, as well as worried about them finding somewhere safe to go to, inside Ukraine and outside. What do you think is next then? What do you think?
That's the hardest question, because everybody wants to go back, and we are only counting on days when we can go back to Kyiv. Okay. When we can go back and open our apartments, homes, and just sit down on the couch and, say, okay, I'm home.
That was a nightmare.
Yeah. Yeah. So
and it's over.
We want to go back. And I think that nationwide, we are sure we will have a victory. The only question is when. And that question is the hardest, because it's hard on economy, it's hard on everything else, it's hard on people. And some people actually have started coming back to Kyiv and reopening their little businesses, like a coffee shop, a barber shop. Some people have already started doing that, because money has to flow somewhere at least.
Yeah.
But that's the worst. I'm trying not to think about tomorrow. I'm trying to just do what I can do today. Today's are, we're just taking today and today and today and today and another today. That's how you survive. And then again, Ukrainians are very resilient, very much.
Yeah.
We are used to trusting ourselves. We are not used to trusting anybody else. We are used to relying on ourselves. And then humor is just, you would not believe it. You would not believe it. When I have calls with my girlfriends, and their stories are just heartbreaking, but they still laugh. They'll be like, okay, but there was another funny story in there. we are like that, we just taking life easy, even though it's unthinkably hard.
It is. The word unthinkable is the only word that can be used during this time, because it truly is unthinkable. I mean, when you think about not having any money to even think about, well, what am I going to do? Where am I going to go? And where am I going to work? I mean, if you said that to, even 500,000 Americans right now, they wouldn't have an answer for you. They wouldn't have an answer for themselves, because you can't just run to the bank and take all your money out. And they were talking about the corridors to get to the other countries, that's not even safe. Probably very shortly after you left, very near the beginning, it was like a 50-50 chance of you getting through to the border or not.
No, you would. It just the time, you could be there for 7 days, 5 days.
Yeah, there was some people shot, not making it. I don't know. I don't understand the theory of, because a war to me is one military against the other military. It's like a fight in the ring, but you don't start bringing other people that are in the audience into it. But that's my analogy, and obviously that's not what's going on right now. There's a lot more to it.
Yeah.
What do you think that you need right now for people? What is needed for what's outstanding?
For Ukrainians, or for my girlfriends, or
for your girlfriends right now? What do you think?
Yeah, it's very direct. It's nothing of a philosophical discussion. They need a place to stay at, and we're facing now a new wave of needs, because they came in, they could stay with their friends, relatives, or in a refugee camp for a week or 2 weeks, but that's only temporary. So now they need to look for another place where they could stay for at least several months, and at least, not think about the next place where they should go.
Right.
That we need jobs. They could be remote jobs, and it's much easier to do a remote job right now because you can start it right away. They have their computers, they can start them, right? And then sometimes they need what I call, it's an SOS fund. So sometimes they just need plain money when they're in the hotel for two nights and then nothing. So they would text me and I would pay for their hotel. I've done that even before I started, fundraising for them. It was a common sense. If your friend is in the hotel for 2 days, what do you do, right? You pay for them.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And people were asking, how can we help? And I never felt comfortable, because this is the first time for me accepting any kind of donations. Like, I've never, ever fundraised for anything. So the whole notion of it is very strange to me. So, what I've started selling my own expertise, my own webinars on everything connected to client experience, client retention. And that money I use as a fund for the girlfriends. So that's what I'm doing now.
Good. That's awesome. But so if anybody out there internationally, anywhere, can give something of some sort, whether it's job information to you, or a donation, or a place to stay, that you will, I guess, look after all of that when you get it from them. I'll include your email down below as well. And I think I do. And your website's there. Do you have a link to a certain section where they can go on to and give something, or just send an email to you?
As you wish. There is a link with all those webinars and then the buttons for payment. You can attend the webinar. You don't have to attend it, but I will still send you a recording so that I feel like, I still provided some value.
That's right.
Yeah. So I could send you a link for that. But then also feel free. I'm very open on answering all messages on Facebook. So if you just drop me a note, I will find it. I will definitely hit you back, because I'm on Facebook the majority of the time, as the group of the girlfriends is on Facebook. So that's,
Okay.
it's much easier for me than other social
Sure.
media.
What are you worried about most now, Anastasia? What do you think what is your biggest worry?
The biggest worry is that we will not be able to go back.
But
That's
life won't
the
be the
biggest.
same? You mean life won't be the same as what you knew it as?
Oh yeah.
Basically.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And it's not hard for me to start a new life somewhere else. Now I feel it. If we had this podcast 2 weeks ago, I wouldn't have told this. But I think that was time you come to realize, I still am the same expert. I still have the same, experience, skills, exactly. And I don't have kids, which is also, in this situation, it's a good thing, because you don't have to think about somebody else, right? But then when I think about my girlfriends, and not all of them speak English, okay? So I'm thinking, okay, how even it's possible for them?
Yeah.
With the kids.
Yeah. And the trauma that you guys are enduring, as well as the trauma for the poor little kids, as well as trying to explain to them what's happening. I'm lost.
Yeah, I think it's the worst for the kids now, because they will have this for the for the whole life. They will remember how they were sitting in the basement, or in the shelter, or in the refugee camp,
and running, and not having their own bed to go to, and not knowing where their food is next, and seeing people lying on the streets and not really understanding why all of a sudden that's gone. Or I think people should just take a minute and just really think about what it could look like around them.
Yeah. My friends' kids, every morning they're asking, when are we going to go back? When are we going to go back?
Yeah, because kids love their bed.
Yeah, and their friends, and
their friends, and their school, or their routine.
Yeah, and now they have to go to schools where they don't understand a word, because if they're in Czech Republic, the school is in Czech language. If they're in Poland, it's in Polish. In Germany, it's in German. They have no idea.
Yeah, that's scary. Very scary. So, anything else that you want to give to the listeners that you think is important?
Number one, I do want to thank the international community on being so supportive. I do. Yes, we would want governments to be more involved in the help, and not just people, right? Mm-hmm. But the help we're getting from civilians is immense, and really, I don't have words to explain, how grateful we are. I would also encourage people to, and I've been speaking about that a lot, to rethink the word refugee or an immigrant. It's not necessarily somebody who doesn't want to work and live on welfare. It's not necessarily somebody who doesn't have an education. Look at my girlfriends, 2-3 degrees, former marketing directors, HR directors. And they don't have to prove themselves to country. If they are professional doctors, they are professional doctors, and I don't want them to feel belittled just because they had to flee war, because that's how I feel when I'm introduced somewhere now internationally. They say, Anastasia, she's from Kiev, and I get this empathetic look, which I'm thankful for. But at the same time, I don't want to be feeling as if, now I have to do a huge list of things until I prove myself capable of being accepted into this society. No. So, yeah, that probably.
A whole lot of things, really, right?
Yes.
It comes with a whole bunch of feelings.
Mm-hmm.
Being part of, because now you're in Italy, or you could be in Poland or wherever, and you want to be accepted and you want to be part of it, but you still feel like you need to go home all at the same time.
True.
It's crazy. It's really crazy, actually. Well, I really enjoyed my time with you. I'm sure I'll have other questions for you again. Please reach out to them for any help that you might have, especially places to stay. Wherever you are, I'm sure there might be somebody thinking about going there. Could be, anywhere. Could be Germany. Could be Ireland. Could be wherever. I'm sure that there'll be a spot for somebody somewhere. I know Canada has given a lot of help out to people that houses and condos weren't being lived in at the moment. It's very exciting in a way to have people come together and help also as well. And I get a kick out of, on all the things I've seen, the Ukrainians still seem to have fun doing it. Like they're still on TikTok dancing with their combat gear on, or pulling the tractor down the road with their farm tractor, or I don't know. It's such a different thing, and capturing the Russians, and then they don't even know what they should do with them. It's it's not
because
like they
we're
want to even
too good to kill them.
yeah
Too kind.
which you're supposed to do, but you don't feel like you should. So
yeah, Ukrainian spirit now, right, has invaded the whole world. Yes,
that's right. So thank you for coming on. I'm blessed to have you come on our show today. Thank you so much, and sharing your experience and what we can do as people outside of the Ukraine to help people. So please take a moment and subscribe to our channel again. I'm going to bring out my hand and click on that bell down below so that you get notified of any of our shows coming up. And when you are thinking about that someone special today that's in your mind watching the show, please reach out to them. Please call them. We still have phones. Please text them. Please FaceTime them, whatever. Go and see them, because now is just as good of a time as ever to reach out to that person and tell them how much you care and that you love them, because you don't know what tomorrow might bring. So stay tuned to our podcast and live streams. We have interesting and accomplished people in the world today on our show, just like beautiful Anastasia. So thank you so very much for coming on. I think you'll be entertained, informed, and hope that we've inspired you and motivated you to think about your own unique plan. Nobody's Superman in this world. No one gets out of life alive, basically, so expect the unexpected. We were on all podcast platforms: YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, TikTok, and Facebook. We welcome your likes as well below. Thank you for sharing your time with us. Thank you for choosing to spend your time with us. If you found us, you are here for a reason. So please share this out to your friends and family. I always end our show with Carol Burnett. And Anastasia, you probably don't know who Carol Burnett is, but she's a beautiful American actress that's a comedian that's had a show on forever in the United States, in North America, actually. And she was just a beautiful, beautiful lady. She is. She's still alive. And you still see her pop up in some movies or shows sometimes. And it's beautiful to see. But I always end with Carol Burnett. So I'm so glad we had this time together just to have a laugh or sing a song. Seems we just get started, and before you know it, comes a time we have to say so long. So long, everybody. Please be kind, stay safe. Till next time. Thank you, Anastasia, and thank you,
Thank you,
listeners.
Tina.
You're welcome. Bye.